Chase, do you agree with the Giants' decision to draft Dart?
I love the pick. I thought the Giants had a heck of a draft. I like the fact that they went up to the first round to get Jaxson Dart. I think he has the potential to be the steal of the draft in 2 or 3 years from now. I do. I think that Brian Daboll, we all know and respect what he is as an offensive play caller, as an offensive mind, as a quarterback developer. If he can get in there with that offense and he can do something similar to what Josh Allen and he did when he was his OC for 4 years in Buffalo, it's going to be a really, really good deal. And look, we talked about this, and I talked about it. I thought that the Giants had to make a splash in the draft. Now, Shador Sanders, Jaxson Dart, they ended up going with Jaxson Dart. They probably think his ceiling is a little bit higher. And when you look at it, they got Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Tommy DeVito. They are loaded quarterback room in terms of how many people there are. It's going to be an interesting dynamic. Look, Brian Daboll, I believe, came out and said that in the spring, Russell Wilson will start. I think Jaxson Dart needs to start day one. And I've said this before. I think Jaxson Dart, and I think Brian Daboll, and I think Joe Shane, the GM, if Jaxson Dart doesn't play well and he doesn't prove that he's the franchise quarterback in year one, Brian Daboll and Joe Shane will no longer be there to develop him. Then you have a new head coach, and then you have a new GM coming in with a guy they didn't draft, and it just really hurts Jaxson Dart's development.
Schematically, Jaxson Dart was the only fit for the New York Giants. I say schematically because I would have loved to see Shador in the Big Apple, but schematically, Jaxson Dart's the only fit. Brian Daboll needs a quarterback that's a dual-threat quarterback, period. Brian Daboll, when he's an offensive mind, as coordinator or head coach, his quarterbacks average 30% of their team's rushing yards. 529 rushing yards his quarterbacks have per season. That's Daniel Jones and Josh Allen. Jaxson Dart accounted for 19% of his team's rushing yards, 499 yards last season. If you exclude the garbage time in games, Jaxson Dart accounts for roughly 25 to 30% of his team's rushing yards. Brian Daboll needed a dual-threat quarterback, period. Schematically, Jaxson Dart is the absolute best fit for Brian Daboll. If he wanted a pocket passer, maybe it's Shador Sanders, but it had to be Jaxson Dart. I think Jaxson Dart has really good arm strength. I think he has really good the ability to throw from really good arm angles. The only thing I saw on tape, I don't think he sees underneath zone coverage very well. That was literally it. I was like, underneath zone coverage, like he doesn't see linebackers buzzing to the flat in cover 3. He doesn't see hole players in cover 2. He doesn't necessarily see quarter fat players all the time in cover 4. You can confuse him in cover 6. Like he doesn't see underneath zone coverage well. But if you show him man-to-man coverage and he sees it pre-snap, he throws darts like his last name.
You said if he sees what?
If he sees it pre-snap. Like if you show him basic man-to-man coverage and he knows exactly where he wants to go with the football, he'll pick you apart.
Or he'll take off.
I mean, that's any quarterback. And man-to-man is easy to see.
Correct. He can just place it there better. That's what I'm saying. Like Jalen Milroe, you can show a man-to-man coverage, and that joint still might go. But Jaxson Dart, you show a man-to-man coverage, he'll make the throw.
Okay.
Zone coverage, though?
Yeah. But that's typically harder, I think, the zones like for quarterbacks. I'm going to say they made a bad decision. They should have got Shador Sanders. And maybe I was looking at tape, because he's not bad. Jaxson Dart's not a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
But as I watched, I'm like, okay, who's he remind me of? And, of course, I looked at all the reports, and they said Josh Allen. Did y'all not hear this? Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, man. So when you draft a player, right, and you're comparing him to Josh Allen, it makes sense. I want a guy like Josh Allen, too. Like, every team wants that. Until you really watch him, he looks nothing like Josh Allen. Where at? Arm strength? They not even the same class.
No.
And then we keep talking about all this, like, this mobility and scramble and all that. Like, he don't run like Josh Allen. So what are we really talking about here, though? Because if you take a guy, right, you trade up to go get a quarterback. Cool, you must want him. And then the reason why you want him is you're saying you compare him to Josh Allen. I'm like, there's no way possible. So I was super confused with this pick. I will say, though, he will have some success being with Brian Daboll. I've been with him at Buffalo. I think he's a really good coach. I just don't know, man, if he will have the same success if he had Shador Sanders at quarterback other than Dart. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the spotlight will be bright in New York.
Josh Allen, though?
And yeah, I mean, definitely not throwing the football. Spotlight's bright in New York. I think that we all could agree up here, and we've all talked about it, that the Giants need to do something in this draft to catch everyone's attention. And I think actually, you know, when you look at it in a year or two, it could be a really good draft. It's like I like Abdul Carter. I know you're mixed and not the player, but the fit. Yeah. I get that, but you know, the riches. You got to stop Saquon. You got to stop Jaden Daniels. Yeah. That defensive line, if you remember when they won the Super Bowl, that defensive line was absolutely
And they had 3 of them.
stacked.
They had Strahan, they had Kiwi, and they had Justin OC.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I think that matters.
And Jay Tuck. And Justin Tucker.
Yeah, they had it
Justin Tuck.
Yeah, but they got rid of
Not
OC
Tucker.
next year. But I want to ask you this, though, right? Because you said this throwing and you said something about the running. You think Dart reminds you of Josh Allen running the ball?
I think that there's some similar traits that he has. Do I think he's as good of a runner as Josh Allen? No. Do I think he's powerful? Do I think that when he gets going, he's tough to bring down? He's a physical runner? Yes. Those are all traits. Doesn't mean he's going to end up in the career as a runner of Josh Allen. I can see the traits and the similarity in the style the which he runs.
And Josh Allen's style.
Yes.
Maybe the only thing.
Do you see that too?
No. The only thing I could see, though, I could see the mentality. Like, Dart's tough. Dart runs tough. Dart will put his head down.
I know a lot of tough guys. I know a lot of tough guys like that.
Yeah,
Andy Richardson runs tough too. I know Josh Allen.
When he stays healthy.
Comparing somebody to Josh is the third best runner.
He don't, real talk, I watched Josh in Wyoming when we got some of the tape, when they were talking about the guy who won draft. He don't even run better than Josh in Wyoming compared to the Bills.
Comparing Josh to somebody is not going to go well.
But
for
real
you.
quick, before you leave, you see what I'm saying about how the media can spin that? And now, if I'm selling something to you and I throw Josh Allen there in the way he runs, you going to believe that.
Yeah,
Say that Romero. I'm selling you Lamar and I'm selling Cam Newton. Oh, he runs, he has speed. You believe that.
Yeah.
Ain't no player saying that crazy stuff. Shador, who they compare him to? Andy Dalton? You get what I'm trying to say, though?
Some said Joe Burrow.
We said Joe Burrow. I didn't see nobody over there. He definitely said Joe Burrow.
I said Geno Smith and Jared Goff.
And Daniel Jones. You see what I'm saying? So as much as I'm saying I'm tripping, just look how they paint this picture. They throwing that at you. Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For Dart, Josh Allen. For Shador, Daniel Jones. Who else they said? Andy Dalton. Do you see what I'm saying? And y'all tell me I'm tripping.
Chase, you did say
You selling something to the public, they gonna believe that.
You said Geno.
Geno. I said Geno.
Geno was a second-round pick.
And Geno's had a heck of a career.
No.
I don't know if you call it a heck of a career.
His last part of his career, it's not been a heck of a year.
Heck of a
He's been
resurgence.
paid.
Heck
He's
of a
made the
resurgence.
playoffs. Yes.
Everybody gets
and
paid.
That's a good career, dog.
Oh,
He's making good money.
What up, YouTube family? Welcome to the facility. Thanks for watching, and you better be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to get more highlights from the show and all of our exclusive content.